Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and as you guys can see, I have up a bit of new training footage, so let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about it a bit, because people always have questions, they always have comments, and basically, like I said in the last time I did this, because that format worked really well, it let me explain a lot of what I do with my training. I dropped the deadlifts because I train at a gym where they don't really want you to turn loose of it at the top, so I hold on to it and I let it fall fairly fast, but it would still be pretty much a meat legal drop if I were still competing in powerlifting. However, I do believe the best way to perform a deadlift to allow maximum workload and recovery is to turn loose at the top after you lock out. And I do mean after you lock out. And I see a lot of people not lock out on your deadlifts, and then they wonder why they get red lighted in competitions. I've red lighted actually at record attempts for that. That's just the nature of it. So that being said, that's what I did. Now today I only filmed one set of each thing. Some of my exercises I do up to 3 sets, like dips, sometimes overhead press, sometimes my pin lay rows. Deadlifts I do 1 work set. To clarify there, yes, I lower the weight pretty quick, and yes, that was 7 reps today instead of 6 like I did the last 2 times. But it also shows you guys I deadlift heavy at a pretty high frequency. I only take at most 1 light day per week on the deadlift. So I deadlift heavy 2, sometimes 3 times per week. As you guys saw from the other footage from last week, those were on different days, different shirts, different lighting. And that's how I do it. I deadlift at a high frequency, but I always leave reps in the tank, and that's the key to doing it. I leave 1 to 2 reps in the tank every time. Well, today I felt stronger than usual. I had a bit more carbs last night after doing all my cardio and everything, and I felt good, so I came in and I pulled 1 more rep. And I'll probably work on that. That's something I kind of want to work towards, is to get to with 5 plates, so pretty much 500-ish pounds. I want to be able to do 10 reps beltless and strapless without any grinders. That's kind of a little bit of a small personal goal I've set for myself. So I'm working on rep work with that at the moment. The boots, people ask about the boots a lot. The reason I switched to boots, months ago, I started doing more outdoorsy stuff. I started shooting a lot more at the rifle range, and I'm having to walk down a range. Sometimes it's muddy a lot, so I got some mud boots originally, and I'm doing more outdoorsy stuff. So I needed work boots that would handle mud to get outside more, and I realized if I'm going to do more outdoorsy stuff, more hunting, I have to get used to wearing boots more often, because they made my feet a little sore instead of Vibrams all the time. And since it's a great way to add a 1-inch deficit to make the deadlift a little harder. And you guys know I'm a big fan of deficit deadlifts, particularly for guys like me who have longer arms. You get more overall strength and development from doing deficits. Those boots, going from the minimalist type shoes like the Vibrams to those boots, give me at least a 1-inch change in height from the floor. That makes it harder. Makes it harder at the bottom. That gives you more power, more overall size and strength to do that. So it's an easy way for me to add a 1-inch deficit without dragging plates and other stuff around, in addition to making my body weight stuff just a little bit harder. Because my boots are kind of heavy, it makes it a little bit more difficult. It makes it a little more challenging without making any other changes, just my footwear. So that's what's going on with the boots. There's no conspiracy there. A lot of people out there have had a lot of discussion, different ideas behind why I'm wearing boots. It was really that simple, guys. I'm just doing more outdoorsy stuff, so I needed work boots. And since I already have several sets of work boots, for doing outdoorsy stuff, it's an easy way to add deficits to my deadlifts. Next thing, the dips. The dips. I don't know. Nothing really special to say with dips. I do high rep dips right now. I'm going through today. Actually, this week in general was going to be really high reps. I tend to undulate through different phases of higher reps, lower reps on a lot of my exercises. So obviously I did 7 reps on the deadlift. I did 25 body weight dips. Some days I come in and I do 3 sets of 20. But what I've decided for now is that for this couple of weeks, I'm trying to work on doing 1 set to get more and more reps on it. And maybe I'll get to where I can do 30 of them back to back without a break. And a lot of guys say, well, that's not that impressive. Well, when you weigh what I do and your legs are as big as mine, it's like some guys doing weighted dips. But whether you think it's impressive or not is pretty much irrelevant, because I have pretty big chest and pretty big triceps, and that's one of my main mass builders. And you guys get up over 200 pounds and crank out sets of 20 on your dips. You know what? If you do, it's fantastic. It's a great mass builder, great strength builder. I love the dips. They're a great exercise. I'm a big fan unless you're one of the people who can't do them due to the way that some of your muscles insert in your sternum. Some people just can't safely do dips. I am fortunately not one of those people, so I do them. Do I like them as much as a closed grip bench press? Hard to say. Closed grip bench press is actually one of my top 2 or 3 favorite exercises of all time, but I haven't been doing it lately because I wanted to focus more on body weight type movements like dips at the moment. And I just don't feel the need to do both. Pendlay rows. I was a little happier with these versus the last time I filmed them. I dropped the weight down a bit, obviously. I only went with 225 and did high reps while holding much stricter form. But because it was higher reps, I really had to tighten up the form. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really sloppy once you get halfway through. And that people need to remember, the Pendlay is supposed to be a fairly strict exercise. It's not a cheat row. You're pulling from the floor to focus on your dead stop training, to build explosiveness, to build power. And that's what they do. And if you cheat too much, you're robbing yourself of a lot of that starting strength off the floor. It's not like if you cheat to use more weight, you're not going to get bigger biceps and lats and rear delts and everything from it, and bigger forearms. You're going to get that stuff. But you are cheating yourself of one of the performance elements. One of the main benefits of the Pendlay row is the explosiveness. You're pulling from the floor from a dead stop, and if you're cheating to do that, you're going to get size and strength just fine, but you're robbing yourself of the extra explosiveness and speed strength you could be getting. So if you're going to do the exercise, get the most out of it. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Unless you just don't care. And I understand that, guys. A lot of people come in and they like to train and they don't always care if they get every performance element. You know what? That's fine. If you're not trying to compete at the world level in some sort of endeavor, you're training for fun, okay, do what you want to do. That's fine. No big deal. Then I did overhead presses. Overhead pressing is something I'm really trying to work on because it has carryover to some other stuff that I do, particularly like my standing shooting and things, which is also an athletic endeavor. So actually I'm trying to work more on higher reps on overhead pressing instead of low reps because my strength stamina for my shoulders isn't the best in the world. It's a weak link for me in my performance. And that could carry over to doing large amounts of shooting while standing for me, which is something I do a lot of, obviously. The amount of hand loading I do here, you guys probably get the idea. I shoot a lot. I shoot hundreds of rounds every week. So for me, the fatigue of standing shooting could add up, particularly if I start doing some competitive events with it. So I've been working on that more. And as you guys can see, I'm not that strong on really high rep overhead pressing for a guy my size. So it is clearly a weak link. And part of it has to do with my really long arms, making it a little more difficult. But, you can't use that as an excuse forever, guys. I always remind guys that, well, I have really long legs, so this is hard. I have really long arms, this is hard. Yeah, it's hard. But you can't use that as an excuse forever, guys. Sooner or later, you have to realize that you're going to get stronger at something, even if you have longer levers. Will you be the best in the world? No, there's always going to be guys with shorter levers who might be better than you at something. But that's not an excuse to not improve on it. So in my case, it does slow me down a little bit, but I know that it's a weak link, so I'm working on it. And when I'm at home, to help with that also, a lot of days I do a lot of really high rep standing dumbbell presses as well. With some little light 25s I have at home. I'll rep those out all the way to failure, and then I will hold things to continue to fatigue those muscles afterwards. And it's because I know that I need more strength stamina in my shoulders in general. It's something I need to do for my own personal goals and reasons, and so therefore I'm working on it both in the gym with my normal training and at home. And once I get it a little better to where I want it in the gym, I'll go back and start doing more heavy push presses again, which is what I had been doing for a while, but I realized I just needed to focus upon a specific performance element more, and that's what I'm doing. And that's what people need to realize with any of your training. As you get more advanced at what you do, your training is always going to need to be more specific to your goals. And you're going to be able to do less and less cookie cutter stuff and pre-written programs and still advance. You're going to need to custom tailor all of your training week to week, month to month, oftentimes to meet your specific individual goals based upon your individual biomechanics. And in my case, that's one of the things. I need more strength, stamina in my shoulders. I need to get better at doing really high rep work for my shoulders as a full functional movement, not little side laterals and things, but full body type movement, standing things, because it will affect certain things that I want to do coming up in the future. And that's just the nature of it. That's the biggest difference between advanced training for advanced lifters versus more novice and intermediates. There's less room for cookie cutter stuff. Your stuff needs to be way more custom tailored for your individual needs as you go. And your progression slows way down. You no longer look at 1 week or 1 month goals. Once you're advanced, you start looking at 6-month goals and yearly goals. You don't set short-term goals anymore because there are no short-term goals for an advanced lifter. You don't see significant, amazing performance increases in 2 to 3 months. You just generally don't once you're advanced. So you look at where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in a year in terms of progression? Can I add 10 pounds to this lift over the next 6 months? Can I add 3 reps to this exercise over the next 6 months? And so that's the way you start looking at things. Just like I'm saying, I set a personal deadlift goal of getting to 10 reps with that without any grinders. That's not a huge increase. That's a few reps. That's like 3 reps over what I did today. But to set a goal like that over the course of 6 months, as far as an overall strength goal, that's how you have to look at things as an advanced lifter. Can I add 3 reps to an exercise in the next 6 months? With a moderately heavy weight, not even near a maximum weight. And that's how advanced lifters program things. It has to be like 6-month and 1 year goals. You don't look at stuff in the short term because you're not gonna progress enough for it to matter. All right, guys, so that's pretty much what's going on with my training at the moment. And every now and then I'll put up a little bit of training footage because I didn't do much for a while because people didn't seem interested. But I got a lot of positive reception, feedback, and few minutes from the last video on this. So I'm going to keep doing this for a while. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.